U.S. home builders know a housing crash is coming, because according to Bloomberg, builders are now aggressively slashing prices to sell homes in a fast-cooling U.S. housing market. As a result, in housing markets like Austin and Nashville, the share of new construction offerings with price cuts has quadrupled from a year earlier, while it's tripled in Phoenix and doubled in Tampa. Why are home builders all of a sudden panicking and cutting the prices of listings? Well, it might have something to do with the fact that they are building a near record 1 million homes that are actively under construction and permitted, 50% higher than before the pandemic and nearly as high as during the last housing bubble. They're building these homes just as housing demand is plummeting across America. And so the home builders see the writing on the wall and they want to sell these homes before the crash gets even worse. Such is the case on this listing in the north of Dallas from Lennar, the second largest home builder in America. This property originally went on the market for $665,000 in early May. There were absolutely no buyers, so Lennar just passed through an 8% price cut to $615,000, which now has this property valued well below what the Zillow value estimate is. But here's what's most telling about what's going on. It's not the price cut, it's not the Zillow estimate, it's the fact that only 16 Zillow users have saved this listing in the last 30 days. That's a really low amount. It means that buyers have checked out of the market. If you look at the data on mortgage purchase applications, you can see we are now at a 6-year low after the big surge during the pandemic. We have now 40% less home buying demand than we used to, just as home builders are now building those 1 million homes I was telling you about before. And it's really the gap between these two lines that signifies the massive oversupply of homes being built in America right now. And I know that sounds crazy to say that builders are building too many homes, because all you tend to hear about in the mainstream news is that there's a shortage of homes and that builders aren't building enough. So what's going on here? And the answer to that question has everything to do with materials and labor shortages. During the pandemic, it was very difficult for both home builders and apartment developers, who we're going to talk about later, to finish the projects that they started. That's how we've ended up with such a big stockpile of homes actively under construction. One of the biggest things that was leading to this backlog was a big surge in lumber prices that caused many builders to put their projects on hold. However, the great news today in the middle of 2022 is that lumber prices have now collapsed by over 50% in the last 3 months, all the way down to nearly their long run average. Which means this, everyone, here's where it gets exciting. Not only are we seeing a short-term surge in inventory of newly completed homes, we're going to be seeing this surge continue over the next 3 months, over the next 6 months, over the next 12 months, because there is a massive pipeline of homes that need to be completed. And the consequence of this deluge and this overbuilding is going to be a housing crash. It's going to be a bigger housing crash, cheaper homes for you all to buy in the next 6 to 12 months, particularly in a metro like Dallas, Texas, where home builders have pulled new permits for nearly 50,000 single-family homes in the last 12 months. Or in a place like Phoenix, Arizona, where they've pulled 35,000 permits, Atlanta, where they've pulled 30,000 permits, Austin, where they've pulled 24,000 permits, and Charlotte, where they've pulled 20,000. These are the markets, to go along with some others that I'm going to talk about later, where home builders are freaking out the most right now because they're seeing the collapse in the demand. They're seeing the huge glut of inventory that's coming to the market, and they have no answer for it. First, we need to talk about another forward-looking indicator here that's predicting a crash, and that's Wall Street. If you take a look at the stock prices for all the large U.S. home builders right now, they're absolutely in the tank, even more than the broader market in general. For instance, the stock price of D.R. Horton, largest home builder in America, is down 42%. Lennar is also down 42%. And so these home builder stocks are getting pummeled. They're doing much worse than the overall market, which is down by 23%. So that's a sign that it's not only me who's predicting pain for the home builders, it's not only me who's predicting more inventory and lower prices, it's also Wall Street. But here's where things get really interesting and why I think the housing crash could get even worse than everyone's expecting, because it's not only single family home builders and their 1 million homes under construction that are going crazy and building too many homes. It's also apartment and multifamily developers, because there's another 1 million apartments that are currently under construction or permitted. They're going to be coming to market soon. So in total, that's 2 million housing units in America in the pipeline, in the construction backlog. They're going to be coming to market. And I think that means that not only are home prices going to go down, we are going to see rental rates go down in America over the next 12 months as well. There's going to be a popping of the rental bubble once all this inventory gets delivered, which is going to be a big problem for real estate investors and lead many of them to sell. And in many ways, it was this combination of home builders and real estate investors that created this housing bubble. The builders built too much. The real estate investors gobbled up all the inventory in the short term. But now that the market is shifting shifting back to normal, it's going to be this combination of home builders and real estate investors that bring the housing market down to its knees. And ultimately, this is going to come to the benefit of you all out there. You're going to profit off the pain that home builders and real estate investors feel, because I believe the regular home buyer who has been patient, who has waited, and who has stockpiled cash and saved money, you are going to be rewarded very, very soon. Now, with that said, I do need to warn you all about something that you're going to need to expect over the next couple months, and it's this: that home builders are going to start construction on fewer homes going forward. And we're already seeing this play out. Business Insider just had an article saying that the number of new homes being built in America tanked by 14% in May. What they're referring to is that the housing starts in America went down by 14%. The beginning of construction on a new home went down, and this is just a normal part of the housing cycle. Now that we're in a housing crash, builders are naturally going to start construction on fewer homes because the buyer demand isn't there to satisfy the need for those homes. Now, Business Insider says that this means it'll be even harder for Americans to find affordable homes, but I have the exact opposite interpretation. I think declining housing starts is a good thing because builders starting fewer projects is actually going to allow them more labor and materials to finish the huge 2 million backlog of homes under construction already. And really, the problem in the housing market in terms of home building over the last 2 years has not been a lack of housing starts, it's been a lack of completions. You can see that very clearly on this graph. The yellow line is the trailing 12 months of housing starts. That's up to 1.66 million. Meanwhile, the blue line is the number of housing completions, and you can see that that's basically stagnated around 1.3 million over the last 12 to 18 months. And so ironically, all of these housing starts have almost become detrimental to the completed housing supply, because the more that builders start homes, the more that they're having to share labor and share materials, the more that they can't actually finish the homes that they started. So do not be scared when you see news reports over the next couple months of a decline in permits and starts. That's to be expected. That's good news. It's going to mean the 2 million backlog is coming to market and that you're going to have a wider array of inventory and selection, as well as lower prices on new homes. Now, there's one last thing I need to mention, everyone, and that's a ticking time bomb that's ticking in the background here of the home building market that could explode and make the situation even worse. And what I'm referring to is canceled contracts. Home buyers who went under contract to buy a home that wasn't finished yet, that was under construction, well, they're starting to back out of those deals right now. According to John Burns Real Estate Consulting, the cancellation rate jumped from 6.6% in April to 9% in May. I bet that cancellation rate is going to go up to 10, 11, 12% as the summer progresses. And that's going to mean even more inventory coming on the market, home builders getting even more desperate to cut and slash prices. If you've watched my channel for the last 4 months, you probably remember a video I did in early April predicting this surge in cancellation rates, predicting all the problems that home builders are going to have. If you remember that video and you watched it, make sure to hit the like button. If you haven't watched it, make sure to go watch it right now. I have a link on the screen in front of you. You're going to see how I use fundamental data to predict what's going on in the housing market right now and why these predictions are coming true. In particular, in this video, there's a lot of information on specific cities and markets around America so you can understand whether your city is one that's going to have a home building deluge that crashes it.